circle back real quick to some. We were talking about the Rob Gronkowski rumors. Neither of us believe that that's going to happen. But my question is, if Rob Gronkowski did decide to retire this offseason, is he a Hall of Famer?
Yeah, I actually think so. I was looking at his stats, and I mean, he's already among the top receivers in Patriots history. He's set all sorts of marks for tight ends in the playoffs and in the regular season, and obviously he's been so injury prone. But just looking at his stats, he's right up there with all the elite players, and I think a lot of to get into the Hall of Fame, you have to do a couple things. You have to be good for a long time, and you have to be so dominant in your peak. And he was definitely dominant in his peak, and I think he's definitely played enough seasons to be considered dominant for a long time. So his career stats are incredible. His year-by-year stats are incredible. I think that his personality will help him get in as well, because the Hall of Fame tends to pick players that were remembered as great players. And so I think Gronk would be a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, it might not be like a first ballot. If Rob Gronkowski plays to like he's 33 and continues this projected arc, first ballot guy.
Yes.
If he retired today, I think it would take a little bit of time because like there's probably a bit of a backlog coming up. But I've always been a fan of putting in guys who were just super peak guys for a shorter period of time, as opposed to, I always make this argument about like Hines Ward. Hines Ward was like a top 10-ish receiver for like a long time, and he was never like in the argument for like, oh yeah, Hines Ward, he's one of the best receivers in the NFL right now. He was always just around. He's really good for a long time, and those are sort of the arguments you make. Like, well, this guy was here forever, but like a guy versus a guy like Brian Urlacher, who retired around age 30, but his peak was so high that there was no question.
Like Frank Gore is another guy that's coming up here, where he's had a ton of success over a ton of years, but his peak was sort of as like a maybe number 5 to 10 running back in the league. I don't think he was ever the best running back in the league. And so, is he a Hall of Famer? I mean, his long-term success would indicate, like, his stats are incredible or throughout his career, but is he one of the top, like, running backs in his career? That's going to be an interesting one coming up as well.
Yeah, and a real good comparison is actually going to be coming up in a couple of years. Calvin Johnson, who I always forget, retired at, like, age 29. He was the best receiver in football. And I don't think there's really much argument about it. And like Antonio Brown is probably that guy now, and like Julio Jones. But before that, it was Calvin Johnson who was setting all sorts of records. I'd say it's a fair comparison to say like, yeah, Rob Gronkowski is as good among tight ends as Calvin Johnson is among wide receivers. I think there has been a decent amount of traction for Calvin Johnson as a Hall of Famer, and because Rob Gronkowski is the best receiving tight end in the game and arguably the best blocker, I think his dominance is so high, and he became that level by like his third year or so. He's been in the league for like 8 years. I think that would be enough for him to be a Hall of Famer.
Plus, I mean, he has the Super Bowls on his resume as well, so that'll help him out.
And it's Hall of Fame. He's a famous guy. He's one of the faces of the league.
Right, absolutely. I think Gronk's a very... I wouldn't necessarily say he's first ballot right now, like you said, but I think he's a pretty surefire Hall of Famer at this point.